So whether you had a terrible prof or just slept through class, if you have a terrible GPA, well, you're not alone. So you're probably thinking, should I be putting my GPA on my resume? Let me help you resolve that. Okay, I'm Professor Job Offer, and I've spent the last 10 years across a number of Forbes Global 2000 companies, and I want to help you get a little closer to your next job offer. So the general rule about GPAs is that if it's below 3.2, don't put it on your resume, right? Well, it turns out that an average college GPA is about 3.1 on a 4.0 scale. This also means that about half of you shouldn't be putting your GPA on your resume according to the general rule. So let me go ahead and break this rule. And hopefully by the end of this video, your GPA looks great without lying or cheating. So this is the first method. We're going to actually convert your GPA into a 100-point scale. And what this does is this actually deceives the readers in thinking that your GPA is actually a lot higher. But this is not lying or cheating. I'll show you how this works. So if you have a 2.7 out of 4.0, you're probably thinking, that's not an excellent GPA. But you can Google this as well. You can go from a 4.0 scale to a 100-point scale. And your GPA would look something like this. So if you had a 2.7, it would actually convert to an 80. And you probably didn't know that, eh? But a 2.7 on a 4.0 scale converts to an 80%. And an 80 looks a lot better than a 2.7. And I'll tell you why this is true. Because if you have a 2.7 out of 4.0, and if you were to do a division, it actually turns out to be 0.625. Of course, up to, if you're in high school or middle school, this is how they would calculate your score based on decimal places. But an 80 out of 100 actually turns out to be 0.8, and 0.8 is much higher than 0.625, making an 80 look a lot better than 2.7. And on your resume, you would write it in along with the basic info. That your cumulative GPA is in fact an 80 out of 100 instead of a 2.7, although they mean exactly the same thing. And in my other videos, I will cover how to write your education section. Okay. So let's take a look at the second method, and this time we're only going to be taking your concentration courses. So what are concentration or major courses? These are the courses that are directly related to your field of study. So if you studied engineering, you're only taking engineering courses, not the economics course or the linguistics course. And if you're a business major, we're only going to be extracting your business courses and not the computer science course you took in your first or second year. Okay. Because universities will often make you take extra courses which you're not interested in, and this kind of drives down your GPA sometimes, and this makes you sad. So hopefully I can turn this frown upside down into a smile. Okay, that didn't really work, but you know what I mean. So let's say your cumulative GPA is 2.7 again, but you're only going to be taking your concentration courses, whether it be marketing or in engineering. Of course, this requires a little bit of calculation, but it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. You're going to take all your concentration courses, recalculate, and maybe it'll go up to a 3.2 out of a 4.0 in your concentration courses. Okay, and on your resume, you would express it just like this: GPA from concentration courses, 3.0 out of 4.0, 3.2 out of 4.0. And this also works if you have a pretty competitive GPA. So for example, if you have a 3.64 out of a 4.0, and you only extract your concentration courses, it may actually go up to a 3.94 out of a 4.0. And I know this is true because yours truly that's my GPA, and that's what it was. So yeah, it actually had quite a big jump. And if you were to do this, then you would express it just like this on your resume and say your cumulative GPA is 3.64, and your GPA in concentration courses would be a 3.94. I didn't go to UT Austin, but this is just an example. So, okay. But there is a little disclaimer, because this may not work if you have poor grades in your concentration courses. So if you were to actually recalculate your GPA with just concentration courses, it may be lower. So this only works if you have better grades in your concentration courses. Let's take a look at the third method, and this is to just take your last 10 or 20 courses. And the trick here is that it removes your first and second year grades from the calculation, because in the first and second year, you're probably drunk or hungover going to class, or maybe in the third and fourth year, you just tried a lot harder. Okay. So if your cumulative GPA is 2.9 out of 4.0 throughout all your 4 years of university or college, and in your last 20 courses, which would be your third and fourth year, it may go up to about 3.4 because you're only taking those years that you performed well on. Okay, but it doesn't really work vice versa. You can't really go and say, oh, in my first and second year, my GPA was higher than my third and fourth year. Okay, and on your resume, you would express it just like this, to say GPA from last 20 courses, 3.4 out of 4.0. Okay, so here's a quick summary. The first method we can use to boost our GPA would be to use a 100-point scale to convert. Second method could be to use just your concentration courses if you perform better in them. And the last method is to use your last 10 or 20 courses. So you can try all these methods and see which one looks the best to you, and write whatever works best for you on your resume. Okay. And I also have other tips on how to highlight your McDonald's experience on your resume to look like this. Yeah, and this is as a cashier at a McDonald's franchise. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my other video. I'm Professor Job Offer, and I'm here to help you get closer to your next job offer.